I'm sitting here with a guy by the name of Austin who contacted me and told me an unbelievable story of what he's been through. And when I heard this story, I knew that this was an interview we had to have here on After Prison Show. I'm going to allow Austin to tell you guys exactly what he went through, what led him to serve time in prison, and exactly what he went through while being locked up.
When that door hit, my face hit to the ground immediately. And all I saw was 4 people.
Austin, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do this right here. I know this can't be easy, the things that you're about to talk about, and I just want to commend you first for having the bravery to come forward and tell your story.
Yes, sir.
Austin, let's talk about how old you were when the situation occurred that led to you getting locked up.
I was 21, right about to turn 22.
And what happened when you were 21 years old?
As soon as I turned 21, I started getting into drinking, and it kind of took over my life. And that's when
You got into a car accident.
Yeah, I was heading home one night after celebrating, and had drank a little too much, and was headed back to my parents' house, and I was going the wrong way. On the interstate, I got turned around, and I ended up hitting another car head on, going 95 miles an hour. He was going about 50, and the impact actually took his life.
You had told me that you were going the wrong way on the interstate. You said that you were drinking as well. Do you remember anything about what could have caused you to end up going the wrong way?
I don't, confusion.
You told me also that you had to be airlifted to the hospital, and that also that, you were dead during this, right?
Yeah, when they arrived on scene to me, my ankles had got wedged underneath the gas and brake pedal, and I guess they weren't prepared for that. And when they cut me out of the car, they got all of me, but couldn't get my feet out. So the time that was wasted of them trying to get my ankles out from underneath the gas and brake pedal, they had lost my breath, my heartbeat, and said not to go with the ambulance, and brought in the medevac and tore the whole front of the car up to get my ankles unwedged.
So once you deal with all of the medical stuff that you have to deal with, what comes after that? What comes with the charges that came from this accident?
What I was told when I came to was that as soon as my surgeries were done, immediately after, I would be taken into custody.
What were the charges that they gave to you?
At that point in time, I was looking at second-degree murder.
Now, as you're hearing this, that this is the charge they want to give you for this accident that happened, how are you feeling about all of this?
Honestly, scared. The word second-degree murder, I never thought it'd be used in a sentence directed towards me, or something that somebody's talking about what I did. I'd be the one doing the murder. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I did not know what to think, what to do, how it happened, why.
What were your thoughts thinking about what had happened in the accident? Were you feeling guilty, remorseful?
Remorse, I kept saying why. I couldn't figure out why it happened, why the roles weren't reversed.
Why it wasn't you who died
me instead of him.
So you certainly were feeling a lot of guilt and remorse for what had happened.
I can't believe what I had done, that I was capable of taking another man's life just from my actions, just from getting started with drinking and going out for a celebration. That's all the night was supposed to be.
They wanted to give you second-degree murder. You go to court, and what happens when you go to court?
I go to court. I paid for an attorney to represent me, because my family felt that without one, I'd probably be looking at the second-degree murder. Knew that I wasn't built for that, so they ended up getting it dropped down all the way to a vehicular manslaughter, involuntary, and not a separate DUI charge. The DUI charge is incorporated in with that, as well as reckless driving.
And you go from facing, what did you say, 6 to 8 years?
Yeah, 6 to 8 years.
But in turn, they dropped this down to voluntary manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, involuntary vehicular manslaughter.
And you get how much time for this?
They gave me a year.
And for those who may think that, serving just 1 year for these charges isn't that much time at all, you're absolutely right. But the thing about it is what you actually went through while you were incarcerated. And I want to talk a little bit about that now. Can you tell me what it was like for you first getting locked up? What was going through your mind, some of the things that you dealt with?
Yeah, getting locked up, knowing I was going to get arrested. That day on February 27th, I had everything imaginable going through my head. How it's going to be, what's going to happen, will I make it? Because I've seen movies and videos and things and seen the guys that have come in and out and 10 times my size or know a little bit more about it. I didn't know anything.
So you were scared?
Yeah, I was scared. 21, I tried to be that. I tried to live that good life. Mine is the drinking my whole life. So I didn't even know really anything about jail at all, except what I had seen on TV.
So let's talk a little bit about what your first day was like being locked up. Any of the memories that you may remember about first becoming incarcerated?
When I first got processed, that first week, and into those first 3 weeks were the hardest out of the whole bid that I did. I walked in there and stood out like you can't imagine. I didn't know what I was supposed to say, where I was supposed to go, how I was supposed to act. I was kind of walking on eggshells.
When you first get locked up, do you meet anybody? Do you make any friends in there, or do you just immediately start seeing negativity coming your way with people trying to maybe bully you or anything like that?
I guess when I first got there, I had been approached, and I was thinking that maybe it wasn't going to be as bad as it ended up. But because I had been approached and everybody seemed friendly. But what I took their niceness was I guess a thing called Junebug and extortion. I was not familiar with. And
so they were being nice to you because they were trying to play you, they were trying to con you, manipulate you.
Yeah, they had, it actually turns out that I had talked to a few of the guys, and the reason that I'd been approached for protection, to pay for protection, was because they knew I was going to need it.
What did they say when they came up to you to approach you like that?
They labeled me as a guy that had money and was scared, and said, "This is how this is going to go. I'm willing to look out for you and help you. I got your back. You're going to run into a lot of things because you're new around here. You're a little guy. People are going to try you. But if you, each week when your money comes in, if you can look out, help me out, I'll make sure you are protected and nobody messes with you."
And how much money were they trying to get you to pay per week?
You get about $70 click a week, and they wanted about 60 of it.
So you're saying you can go to commissary for $70, and they wanted, what, 60 of it?
60 of it.
$60 a week for these guys to try to protect you in there.
Right.
Did you go along with this, or what was your reaction to this when they said this?
I'm not gonna lie. I took hold of it and said, yeah. My first reaction, I was like, protection? Yeah, okay. Someone wants to look out for me? Absolutely. What's money?
Right.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I gotta make it through this year. Why not? And that's when the protection started. But I never received any protection.
So you're paying for something that you're not getting, and you're still having problems. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And when I realized that I wasn't getting protected, I didn't know how to, I guess, confront
the guys that
I was paying and go, hey, what happened?
You say you're paying for this, but you're still having problems. What were some of those problems that you were having?
I was getting they would have like fight nights, and I'd be coming up each night in the draw to face somebody and to kind of stand up and fight it out.
And you had to do this?
And you had to do this, or I don't really want to know what the answer no could have been. So it's kind of you do it or like you do it.
There's just no other alternative.
Yeah, there's no alternative. And I've never fought my entire life, so I went in not sure what to do, swinging, and I had to get in a fight probably about 3 times every day.
Every day you're fighting 3 times a day?
Every day, at least. Whether it was planned or it just, I cut somebody off, or I spoke when I shouldn't have spoke, or the smallest thing upset somebody, it didn't matter in there.
So were you trying to defend yourself, or were you just really just not even knowing
I didn't know how to defend myself. I did my best, but I had 8 months before I just gone through extreme surgery. So my body
and you couldn't even take it.
Yeah, even if I hadn't gone through surgery, I'm still not a big guy.
Right.
I came in at 120 pounds, 5'10", 21 years old. I was like a twig compared to a lot of the guys that I was facing.
So you're having all of these problems upon first getting there, and I mean, time just doesn't seem like it's going very well for you at all. How far into this year that you had to serve are we talking about while all of this is taking place?
I had all these issues from my first set foot in my first door on state.
So from the first day you're having these issues?
Before I could get to my bunk. I hadn't got to my bunk before I was approached for the protection.
Let's talk about, and I know this is going to be hard for you to talk about, but I really want you to tell everyone what you went through while you were locked up. Aside from the extortion, aside from the fighting, you went through another very traumatic experience while locked up. And I would like for you to share that with us.
About 3 weeks in, when I finally got done with processing and got shipped to my first medium close camp at Brown Creek, I started school, and I guess I hadn't been on the routine, so I woke up one day thinking I was late, and went to head to school. And once I got in the doors, there was nobody. Clearly, it was a weekend. It was Saturday, and I wasn't thinking clearly. There was not a single person in there, and as soon as I stepped foot in electrical wiring, the door shut right behind me. When that door hit, my face hit to the ground immediately, and all I saw was 4 people.
Take your time. I know this has got to be very difficult to talk about.
I never knew what it was like to be jumped or to be like gang beat up or anything. But having 6 built guys around me, hitting, beating, and holding me down, raping me, and taking turns without having any way to get out. Even struggling. Like I tried, I struggled to the point to where they're literally, it took 2 of them just to keep me down.
With all the time that I've served, I've heard of things taking place like this. I've never met anyone who was actually able to talk about this. And I just want to say real quick that it takes a lot of bravery for you to sit here and be able to tell this story.
A few minutes in, after realizing I was helpless, the thoughts were going through my head. Like that giving up. Like all the pain from it. The thought crossed my mind to just, to not be around, to actually be dead would probably have felt better than the feeling that I was feeling lying on that ground. And
so you were thinking there's a possibility these guys were going to kill you?
Yeah. Still to this day, I'm blown away that they didn't.
When this is over with, do these guys get in trouble for this? Do they get caught? What happens next?
I was taken to the nurse's station, and then from there, I was transported to urgent care. And I had to kind of explain what I knew had happened, which wasn't a lot. I walked in the classroom, dark guys, and attacked. I didn't see faces. I didn't have a reason why. I really didn't even know I was there. And as soon as I walked in the classroom and caught eye of their face, that was the last time I had their faces in my mind, because I had not set foot anywhere near them my whole rest of the day. I was told that I was going to be flagged, which I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's flagged is when you go to look up your loved ones or whoever's in incarceration. There's a red surrender flag, and it is for sexual.
People who have been sexually assaulted.
Yeah, it's I'm a high risk. I couldn't be on any camp where there was anybody that had charges for sexual offense, anybody that had rape charges, anybody that had. I had to be. They had to like pick and choose which camps I went through because of what happened, and I was monitored probably 15 times more than I normally would have been during that year. Asked frequently, hey, are you okay? I had to go see a therapist to know if this has happened again. And I was worried about what happens if these guys get out. What happens if I can't run from them forever? What happens if they find me? Like that, I guess that was going through my head.
Did these guys receive any additional time for this? Were they ever prosecuted for this?
They went, all 6 of them were within 3 years of being released from their actual sentences. And they all now face life sentences in close custody, every single one of them.
Close custody meaning maximum security?
Yeah, maximum security.
With this happening to you, was there ever a possibility for a lawsuit, anything that you could have done from this?
I was approached by a few different directors and people stating if I wanted to take the steps in the pressing charges. And I made them give me a couple of days because I didn't know what the right decision was. And I ended up not pressing charges, basically because I was still scared.
Right.
I didn't. Why make things worse for me later down the road? I've never been through something as severe as it in my entire life, but I wasn't trying to put add oil to the fire. I wasn't trying to make it continue and be scared for the rest of my life, everywhere I walk. I do every now and then catch myself looking around. Somebody passes me, just trying to get a snapshot of those guys to know what if one escaped, anything like that. Or what if one got in touch with his homeboy. I don't live every day walking around scared it's gonna happen, but certain things trigger it.
So throughout the rest of your time after you dealt with this, did you deal with any more problems, or because you were monitored more severely or more closely, were things a little easier for you?
I'd gotten over the protection part. I'd gotten over the protection, and people had laid low on that, but they were still wanting all my canteen. And more, as time went on, I was getting tougher about it. And I was always on the go. They only kept me at a camp for a short amount of time due to the fact of anything getting brought up. That was like a trigger, moving to another camp.
So within a year that you serve, how many different places do you go to?
On average, you're supposed to only go to about 2. I went through probably about 8 or 9.
You finally get released after serving your time. With everything that you've gone through, this still isn't over for you yet, because you find out something else that's pretty detrimental as well. And would you share that with us?
Yeah. As I got released in February, I already didn't know where to start, but I knew I needed to get back into the hang of how I used to be with a normal life, and don't get in dental checks and doctor and everything. And I went to my doctor visit, and because of being incarcerated, even though they do tests and blood work and everything like that. And I had blood work done after my incident with the guys. I needed to get it done again, and I got it done again. And usually you get your results back within 2 weeks. When it comes to HIV, STDs, herpes, all that. It took 6 weeks for them to get me back my results. After about 4 weeks and talking to them, I knew something was up. And that 6-week mark, when I got my papers back saying that I had lived 24 years being STD free, I had been diagnosed with HIV.
And this comes from?
This was pinpointed back to my incident from being raped. It's one thing after the next. It's, you think you're over it and then something else happens.
Austin, you get in a car accident when you're 21 years old. You take a man's life. You end up getting sentenced to a year for that and go through some of the most traumatic experiences I think anybody on the face of this planet could go through. Since going through everything that you've been through in your life, what is your mind state like now?
I've got my feet back on the ground, and I've been able to get over all my bridges and get things, for the most part, back to how I used to have them. But every day, I mean, I think for the rest of my life I'm still going to be struggling. I just want people like me, 21, 45, 65, however old you are, that decide to drink or have always been drinking, that think they'd never get behind a wheel like I did. It can still happen. And I don't. I think every day of how many people make the same choice I make and get lucky, make it home.
But all it takes is that one time.
All it takes is that one time. That one party I had my car parked. The whole time I drank. That one time I had access to my vehicle, to a vehicle, was my one time.
You know, again, with everything that you've been through, to be sitting here right now and at least attempting to try to make the most of your life with all that's on your plate, with everything that you went through leading up to where you are right now, I think that speaks volumes about your character. I don't think there's a lot of people who could go through what you've been through and still be able to carry on the way that you are now. It takes a lot of guts to come here to tell the story that you've told. It takes a lot of bravery and courage. I personally couldn't even imagine what you've gone through. I just want to say thank you for sharing this story with us. I know you deal with a lot of emotional and psychological issues from this. The baggage that you carry, it's just got to be immense. But to be able to take that and to still try to push forward, that takes a strength that, that's just a strength that's just unbelievable. Austin, I hope a lot of people have heard your story who possibly would be dealing with drinking problems. Maybe they don't even feel like they have a drinking problem. But I hope your story alone is able to open the eyes of so many who could end up in a situation just like what you went through. Austin, thank you for taking the time to meet with us, to tell us your story, what you've been through. These are things that you wouldn't even wish on anybody.
You hit roads, you hit bumps, you gotta just keep going, no matter what they are.